Dancers have a lot to balance. From their pirouettes to their jumps, a dancer's performance is a direct result of hard work and motivation. So where does food fit into this? There's a lot of myths and a ton of antiquated ideals about what a dancer's diet should look like. I'm Rachel Fine, registered dietitian nutritionist and founder of To The Point Nutrition, and I'm here to dispel those. Thank you for joining me today. I'm happy that we got to make this work. Why don't you introduce yourself and then we'll dive into the conversation.
Sure. So I'm Courtney.
I'm Caitlin, and we are the Sullivan twins.
We're professional dancers and content creators in New York City, and we've been dancing in New York for the last few years, and most recently we became Radio City Rockettes in 2023. So aside from that being like a huge job of ours, we've done a lot of different gigs in the city, as well as just creating our own dance content every single day. So we're definitely moving constantly, and that's like a huge basis of what we do. So we're excited to talk to you today and share how we fuel ourselves, how we stay healthy, because that is so important in order to stay fit and ready for anything that comes our way.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that you share in that philosophy. I am curious. So in 2023, you became Rockettes. I'd love to hear about how your relationship with dance has shifted just in your professional years and as you entered working with the Rockettes.
Yeah, that's such a great question. I mean, as we have progressed in our professional career, we've also keep getting older. So things are not as easy and smooth as they were when we were 18. So I feel like my relationship with dance has become even more treasured, and I really am so thankful every day that I get to do what I do, and that I'm very thankful for my body. Especially going through a season such as a show that runs every single day, multiple times a day for a limited run. It's so easy to get injured. And I feel like I had such a great year this year, and I kept thanking my body, and I was like, wow, I cannot believe my body is still holding up with me. And I really do, though, think it has to do with the regiment that we have set for ourselves. And we've really, really pushed strength training and working out, and that was not something we did when we were younger necessarily, maybe when we got into college more, but dance has taken on a new role where we see it from so many different aspects and outlooks, where we see what goes hand in hand with it. We were in a ballet class this morning and we were in Pilates yesterday, and a lot of the times our week will look like a lot of different things that aren't even necessarily dancing, which is so interesting. If I could tell myself that years ago that you'd be dancing professionally, but it wouldn't be as if I was in 100 dance classes every day. It's a lot of different things. It's a lot of, it's also like food prep, and I've never cared so much about what I'm eating than I have now and what we're doing. And I don't know, you could jump in on that too, but it's just become like more of an evolved outlook on dance than it was years ago.
Yeah, I totally agree. Not even like that much more to it. It's just truly what will make us feel good every single day, no matter what we're doing. And it could be we're mid-season for a show that's high energy and takes a lot out of your body, or it could just be a regular Monday and we're going to a dance class, a Pilates class, filming some dance content, whatever it may be. I'm still waking up every single day and thinking like, how can I fuel myself and make my body feel good? Because that is our instrument in this field. So if you're not taking care of it, it's not going to be long lasting, and we want to have the longest careers possible.
Yeah. I mean, two words come to mind: holistic and longevity. Holistic, because it sounds like the biggest shift here is that dance and the training to achieve a professional career is so much the focus when we are pre-professionals, right? And when we are students. And you have made such a beautiful shift into understanding that so much else goes into your self as a dancer beyond what you're just doing in the studio. And I was just having a conversation with a dancer about this, particularly when it comes to food, and really thinking about food as being on the same playing field as all of the hours that you're putting into the dance studio. Same with your cross training. You know what I mean? All of these different elements that are helping to support injury prevention, right? Support recovery. Like you said, I mean, your run during the holiday season is unmatched, right? So to support the day-to-day recovery, and then of course just the post-season recovery, I'm sure is such a major at the forefront of your mind, just to keep up with the longevity of your careers.
Yeah, something really interesting we had thought about a few years ago, a woman we were training with for the Rockettes auditions had pointed out to us, how much are you eating in a day? And we were kind of going through like our 3 meals of the day, really. And she was saying, food is your brain power. You can't go into that audition without continuously like having a bar in between your meals, having some sort of snack that is good for your brain, like blueberries, I've heard over and over is great for your brain. And now I view it as truly my brain power too. Like how could you go into a rehearsal or a class or an audition and not have that extra fuel that makes your brain turn on and you just feel way more alert and smarter? And now I view it even more as an important factor. I mean, I think about when I was younger and I was at dance competitions and I was too nervous to eat before my solo.
Oh my gosh,
and
never.
then the second after, I would like choke down maybe a bar, but then the second my solo was over, I would have a full meal. But now I realize, like, if I had just pushed myself even more to view it as how important that like full meal, your carbs and everything was, it would be totally different.
Yeah, 100%. My relationship with food pre-performance has changed so much over the years. Like Caitlin said, when we were younger, it was like, oh my God, I can't even eat, I'm so nervous. And now it's like my like pre-performance ritual truly involves eating. And it could be like I've stretched and then I have one more snack that's like fueling and like a whole food, not just like something like artificial. And I do find that so important, and it makes me feel prepared. And I feel like every dancer can relate to that, where they're like not ready to go on stage until they go through like X, Y, and Z. That's like their ritual. And like part of my ritual is eating something.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love hearing the reality of having to push yourself to do it, because another conversation that I have with many dancers, especially because we are in the height of competition season right now for a lot of my younger dancers, is just having to push through non-existent hunger cues, right? Like we can't only rely on hunger cues. Otherwise, we're not going to eat enough. We're not going to have that bar before jumping on stage. We're not going to have the trail mix. We really have to make it what I call a very proactive effort to ensure that we're getting that in. And just to kind of move into one of the next questions I wanted to ask you is, what would you say some of the biggest challenges are now with your really professional life? And it sounds like just needing to be very proactive about fuel is one of those challenges, but are there any others?
I feel like any challenge is like a welcomed challenge now, where I feel like we actually have the tools to take it on, versus when I was younger, I don't think I knew how to do that. And we had extreme like competition schedules in college and in high school. Like it was definitely something I don't know if I was like preparing myself for the right way. And now I'd say it's the same challenge of like, okay, I'm going into a 6-hour rehearsal today or even longer. What am I doing to prepare for that? But now I'm way more well equipped to know like, okay, in this break I usually do well if like I have like these 3 snacks that I really like, and in the lunch break this usually gets me through the end of the day. So like just knowing how to fuel yourself correctly is definitely a challenge, but it's something that as we grow up we're like better equipped to do. So I wish I honestly could go back and tell my younger self how to do that too, because it's something you can do at any age. Do you have any other challenges? I feel like that's the big one.
I feel like it was learning too, just what foods or like how much you need, I guess what partners with what you're doing. So like if you're in season before a show, I need X, Y, and Z. Like I have 2 breakfasts every day. I have to before a show. And then it changes when you're out of season, and maybe it's what do you need before a workout class? What do you need before a dance class? It's just like this new balance where I'm figuring it out, where it's a little bit of trial and error, but it's a fun trial and error, and it's a new challenge figuring out what makes you the most alert and smartest, what you need before a rehearsal. And then it's figure out like I like these 3 snacks during a break in between class or rehearsal or whatever is happening.
So I think it depends on like what's going on in your life at that time. A lot of people, like you said, are in competition season. A lot of people are in audition season. So it just depends what's going on. But I also think just like what do you need to do to take care of your body? There are definitely times in the year where we're like, we're pulling back on dance classes, we're pulling back on the extra workouts and just focusing on like what's at hand, because your body can only take so much. And I think that definitely comes from experience too, where we're like, okay, we went too hard during this 1 month and it was unnecessary. And I think it's helpful when we have each other to hold each other accountable, but also it's helpful when you have someone to be like, you're doing enough, like it's okay.
Yeah.
That one extra dance class is not going to make any difference in your audition next week. Like you're still the same dancer, and pushing your body that much further might not actually do you any good. It could do you more harm. So I think finding that balance and the push and pull of like, what do I need to be the most prepared?
Flexibility comes up a lot in these conversations when I'm talking to my professional dancers, because at the end of the day, your seasons change frequently, and acknowledging that how you fuel your body at one point is going to look very different from how you fuel or how much you're dancing or how much you're cross training at another point. And I love that aspect of being flexible and coming to terms with that, like your schedule is bound to ebb and flow. And also just acknowledging that part of that change and part of that flexibility is also knowing when to take some steps back. And I think that a lot of dancers really do find that to be a challenge, because when you're so used to having an intensity that's up here, it, just to go back to this word, needs to be very proactive to really lower the intensity so that you don't end up burnt out or injured at the end of a run or before the next audition season. So I think you raised such a good point of just being so self-aware, right? Of when to take a couple steps back. It sounds like a lot of these connections, whether it was the connection between food and needing to really eat sufficiently to sustain your dancing, and the connection between knowing when to really prioritize more self-care, sounds like these really hit home for you in your professional career. Is that true? Or would you say it happened maybe in college or not so much?
I think definitely in our professional career. I really feel like once we got into this world of like content creation first and then auditioning in New York and more professional jobs, that's when it really all came together. But that was also just like a part of entering adulthood for us, and being on our own and not having dance teachers or coaches telling us what to do every day. Like we were in charge of ourselves for the first time, in like the sense of how many dance classes are you going to, like when you were like filming or whatever it was that was coming to us. It was coming to us because we were making it happen, and that definitely came as a challenge then to like how we were going to handle it all. So I definitely think we got better with it as professionals, and it's great to hear you talk about it now, because I think this gives younger dancers the tools that I don't think we even had at the time.
Yeah. And I do feel like we're lucky that we have each other to hold each other accountable. But that's why I see so many friends who take class together, or we all like will reach out, are you doing this? Are you doing that? I'll see you at class. So I think it's nice to just talk it out with someone, anyone, just to help have a soundboard and be like, okay, yes, I'm taking that ballet class on Tuesday, but then Friday I need a rest day.
Yeah, it makes such a big difference. Just feeling like you have community. Really hard in New York City too. Are you originally from New York City, or was this a move that you made?
Well, we're from New Jersey,
Okay,
so
not
we're
far.
actually from not far at all. So before we moved into the city, we were coming in every week, multiple days a week, because it was just a quick train ride. So that's lucky for us that New York was always very close.
Yes, I could relate. I'm originally from Long Island, but I do feel like when dancers make the shift, to New York City, it's a big city that can quickly feel very lonely, right? If you're not building those connections. And luckily the dance world is so tight knit that I do feel like you can quickly build your community. And I do agree that I think having that as support is so incredibly important. It sounds like now you do a lot in regard to your content creation, your dancing, your cross training routines. Do you feel that you have a great balance, just an overall life balance? Are there any other hobbies that you like to do that helps to sustain that balance?
I think we have found a good balance. we're definitely really big about like, okay, like this week, which day would you like to take Pilates? Like we try to do that once a week.
Yeah.
We try to go to ballet class or just figure out what dance classes, and we like to do things together. What dance classes we'd like to do that week, like ahead of time, since it's so easy to look at schedules. We're both really into going to the gym every day. So finding time to do that, and obviously like the workout will fluctuate based on like what else we're doing that day, and then finding out like which days we want to film some dance content as well. So we're like finding all of those different pillars, but definitely have become more passionate about working out and going to Pilates, to things that are not necessarily dance. We're not necessarily needing to like stretch to go into a gym, but it still feels like moving your body, toning, strengthening those muscles that will then translate into a dance class or whatever we might be doing, rehearsing for something. And I definitely feel like very passionate about that. So I love that that's something that's part of our weekly schedule. That definitely was not part of our schedule when we were growing up. It used to just be 7 days a week dance. And we're really good as well about finding an off day or finding the weekends to like spend time with family and friends and really find that balance as well. I think that having time off is so important, not only for like your mental health, but also your physical health. I don't think like at 26 now, I can do the same things that I did when I was 16, but I do feel stronger in a lot of ways, which is amazing. Our bodies haven't changed that much, but definitely I can like feel the aging where I'm like, I don't need to push it 8 hours a day every single day. I think I can like fluctuate and enjoy myself more now. So it's just finding balance for us.
Yeah. And recovery, right? Just being part of the story with that just sounds so important. Just for fun, can you walk us through an intense day as a Rockette? I'm so curious to see what that looks like.
Yeah. So in season, you mean?
Yeah.
So a typical schedule would be a 6-hour rehearsal day. So for us, we'd wake up maybe at like 7 a.m., 7:30. I would have my overnight oats, which we have every single day, the same breakfast. And then I would pack up, head over to rehearsal. I would have a bagel before we start because I need that extra meal right before we start. And then we'll go into a couple hour rehearsals. Then we'll go into an hour break for lunch and then continue on our day with maybe 3 or 4 more hours. And then often we will stay after rehearsal to just keep up with everything we learned that day and write down any notes, anything new we learned, and then just make sure that we feel good and settled for the night and then head back home. I mean, it's totally different when it's your first season versus your second season. The show is so much more familiar. That first season, I think we were so focused on getting that choreography in our brain where you're coming early, rehearsing, and just, anything else?
I just think also every morning we're really good about doing physical therapy if there are any injuries we're dealing with. We both had shoulder injuries that we've dealt with in the past, and that's definitely a part of my regimen as well. I sometimes like to do a stretch at home and then a stretch when I get to rehearsal, and I'll do the same thing when I'm going to dance class too, because you never know like what a dance teacher's warm up might be. So I like to like warm up my body at home, prepare myself for what I know my body needs before I go into a class and someone else is giving you their warm up. So I think just like having those different routines, no matter what you're doing, is really important.
Yeah, that feels relatable. I feel like I just need to do things that because you don't really know what to expect and you want to make sure that your body is warmed up for you. So I love that. You have provided such beautiful insight today. I'm going to ask my final question that I ask to all of the dancers who come on. It's a large one. And you've answered it in so many different ways already, but I'm going to throw it out there and we'll see what happens. How would you both redefine what it means to be the healthy dancer?
Me too.
How would I redefine what it means to be a healthy dancer? A healthy dancer has so many different aspects of life that you prioritize. A healthy dancer is not just keeping up with your body and your rehab, but then also it's food, it's wellness, it's mental as well. So there's so many different aspects that we prioritize every single day. We didn't even really talk about the mental aspect, but we are huge about journaling, manifesting, keeping a positive outlook, even when you're in an audition season and you really, really are going for one job, you have to stay positive. We're big on manifesting. And, and when things don't work out one way, it's regrouping, figuring out what direction might be next for you. It's staying positive, and I feel like that can make you a healthy dancer because it can keep you motivated and you'll keep pushing and you can end up doing amazing things that you never even thought you could do. So I feel like it's the combination of physically being healthy, thinking about what you eat, what you do to take care of your body, what you do to rest, and maybe a healthy dancer is one that's maybe not even dancing 24/7. It's picking and choosing when it feels right and listening to your body. So I would say listening to your body has become a huge mantra for us, especially in probably the last 2 years.
Yeah, I definitely think a healthy dancer is someone who wakes up every day and is doing what feels best for them. So like Caitlin said, like prioritizing your body. We talked about it a lot on this, but our bodies are so important to us, and listening to yourself and knowing like what do you need that day and knowing when the push and pull comes into play. And knowing at the end of the day, the reason we're in this field is because we're passionate about this art. So I think if that's at the center of everything you do, then you're making the right decisions because you're doing what makes you happiest. And if that's not how you're feeling, then you need to like redirect and regroup and figure out like what do you need to do to wake up every day and feel your absolute best. So that to me is a healthy dancer, and I feel like very blessed to be doing what I love every single day. And if there's ever been, of course, challenges that have come our way, I feel like we definitely know how to handle them. And if we don't, we figure it out together. And I think just like being that best version of yourself can sometimes feel more challenging than it actually is. It's just taking a step back and looking at what you're doing and what you need to do to be like, okay, I'm calm, I'm cool, I'm collected, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Goes back to that word, right? Holistic, right? Just making sure that we're not only fixating on one part of our life, of our training, that the mindset is huge with all of this, and knowing also how to access tools that are going to help you to support your mindset, because it's inevitable that we're all going to experience challenges, whether it's a class that didn't feel as good, whether it's maybe falling out of a pirouette or maybe not getting a part or a role that you worked so hard on. And also one thing that you said that I just absolutely love is like understanding that those disappointments can also be opportunities and ways that we can really evaluate for growth. I think that's huge. That's huge for dancers. It's just being able to recognize that, you know, there is no failure. It's just learning and being able to grow from your experiences. And you've really reflected so much of this in your responses today. So thank you so much for joining me. It was such an honor.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having us.
Thank you. This has been so fun for us.
Yes, likewise. And we will stay in touch, okay?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for talking to us, and thanks for everyone for listening.
Yes, thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.